Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial video. I'm Unhinged Games, and I'm going to walk you through how to use the Wheel of Fortune overlay in Tikfinity in your TikTok live streams. So let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so if you open up Tikfinity, and I have the pro version, but you don't have to have the pro version to make this overlay work. You're going to go over to the left-hand side of the screen to where you see overlays here, which is the third icon down on the left-hand side, and go ahead and click on that. Now, there's all kinds of different overlays here that you can use, and you can use these through OBS, or you can use these directly in TikTok Live Studio, which is what I'll show you today. But for this particular overlay, you're just going to select the overlay category, which is the very first menu. And you can see there's other categories here for setting goals for gifts or followers or likes, or overlay reactions for when specific gifts are sent. But again, just in this first category, there's, I don't know, something like 25 different overlays here that you can use. And only the first few require you to have the pro version of Tikfinity. So anyway, if you go all the way down to the Wheel of Fortune, this is one that I use a lot. You may have seen it on different live streams. But the cool thing about this is your viewers can activate this wheel simply by using a command in your actual live chat to get it to spin. So let's take a look at how this works. All right, you'll see this URL code right here. That's going to be important in a sec, so remember that that's there. Let's go ahead and go into customize. Okay, so you've got some font options, font size, spacing, letter spacing, different colors. You can set the volume, and you can turn the sound actually on or off. So if we test this, you can actually see the wheel here is spinning. Now, in your live stream, your viewers will spin this with a specific command. But first, we need to get this added to our overlay. So let's go ahead and copy this. You can either select and copy this, or you can just click this copy URL button, and it is copied to our clipboard, ready for us to put either into OBS or TikTok Live Studio. Okay, let's talk about how it's going to be activated now that we have that copied. If you go back over here to the left-hand side and scroll all the way down to Tools, which is the very bottom, and then you're going to actually see an entire menu for Wheel of Fortune. So if you open this up, you can see a few different things here. Here's where you choose the command to trigger the wheel. Now, I just use !spin, but you could set that to something else if you wanted it to by going into Change and typing what you would like to activate the Wheel of Fortune. This is also where you can update other chat commands for different things, like your ability for folks to see their score and how many points they've actually won, to send or transfer points to another person, or to get points if you schedule points to drop during the stream. But we're just going to keep this super easy and just focus on the basic command, which is !spin, which spins the wheel. You can choose an action for the main win, and the main win is generally just a single slot on the wheel that is the biggest win that you can have. You can do things here like connect it to any of your actual actions that you've built in, but that's something for another video. So if you're interested in learning how to set up actions in Tikfinity, make sure to drop a comment and let me know that that's something that you're interested in. Okay, cost per spin. This is how many points, not coins in TikTok Live, but just how many points it takes to spin the wheel. Now, people earn points in different ways. They can earn it through gifts. They can earn it through just being active in chat. And obviously, as they spin the wheel, they can earn it by winning additional points from wheel spins. And so you can kind of dictate here what it costs to spin the wheel, what the maximum normal win would be, what a regular win would be, and how long they have to wait in between spins. So I have it set for 5 minutes, and it only costs 10 points per spin, and the main win is 10, meaning they just get their coins back, but the max win they can get is 10 times that, which is 100. Okay, now you can allow people to spin for more than whatever the default cost per spin is. For instance, I allow my folks to spin up to a certain amount. So if you scroll down a little bit further down here at the bottom, you can have what's called a gamble amount. Now you can turn this on or off, but if you leave allow chat gamble on, then you can set a max amount. And then when people are spinning, if they choose to spin for a larger amount than the default, all they have to do is put !spin and then the number, and it will spin the wheel for them up to that max amount that you've set. So that's pretty cool. You could also add custom fields and things like that to really break down the specificity of how many points they can win for specific things, but I generally just leave it on the default. Now that we've gotten the overlay copied and we are ready to add it to our TikTok Live Studio, let's jump over there and see what that looks like. Okay, so here's TikTok Live Studio, and you can see I just have a really simple overlay set up right now with my scenes where it's just me. Hi, I'm on camera, and I have a thanks for watching. This is what pops up at the end of my stream, along with my website. By the way, go check out unhinged-creations.com. Anyways, to add this wheel overlay, you're just going to come over here to your sources and just add a new source. And if you haven't watched my tutorial video on the basics of using TikTok Live Studio, make sure to check that out. All right, so you're going to add this as a link source. So if I click add, it's going to ask me to put in that link. Now you remember we copied that, so I'm just going to paste that in here. And you can turn on the sound or turn off the sound and always keep it active. I recommend just leaving it here in the default settings, and we'll go ahead and add that source. All right, if you look, it pops up for just a sec. Here's the wheel, but then it kind of goes away. So let's go ahead and see what this thing looks like in action. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch here so that you can see both TikTok Live Studio and my Tikfinity. So we're going to go back to overlays, and we're going to go back to where we copied the URL, and we're going to click that test button again. And you'll see that it pops up right there on TikTok Live Studio. So actually, if I switch back to this, it's a little bit obvious, more obvious for you to see this. I'm going to hit test again. You can see that it actually pops up here, and you can see the wheel spinning. This is exactly what's going to happen when people in your stream type !spin to spin the wheel. Now, you can play around with this and make this whatever size you want. I'm going to hit test one more time. And you can set this kind of wherever you want on the screen. I recommend somewhere where it's not necessarily blocked by chat, but also doesn't take up too much of the screen. Okay. So we'll shrink it maybe down to like this size right here. And then again, don't forget your handy trick. If you hold down the Alt button on your keyboard, you can drag and crop a little bit easier to get just the actual parts of your overlay that you want to keep. Okay. So there it is. Now it's in place and it's ready to go. Now, just a reminder again, terms and conditions of TikTok don't allow you to use the word gamble or talk about gambling, even in the fun context of gambling stream points. Okay. So I recommend that you don't use the word gamble when you're describing this to your chat and explaining how it works, but just tell them that they can win points by spinning the wheel, and explain that !spin allows them to do that. And that if you have a max spin set up to a certain amount, that they can add a number and spin up to that amount. Now let's talk about practically why you might even want to do something like this. TikTok's algorithm really thrives and rewards those streamers who are getting a lot of engagement in their streams. And generally that comes from gifts, that comes from likes, and it comes from comments. Allowing people to spin a wheel every 5 minutes not only gives them something fun to do, especially if the game you're playing isn't particularly interactive for them, but it also ensures a steady stream of comments as people have fun on their little side quests competing to have the most stream points in your stream. So consider adding this just as a way to enrich folks' experience, but also help drive your success in the algorithm of getting pushed out to more and more viewers. I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Let me know if you've used this and how you've used it and if it's been successful for you. And please don't forget to like and subscribe, because your support here on YouTube is what helps me continue to make tutorial videos like this. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you guys next time.